I'm going to take a problem, like a math problem.
Yeah.
It's 2/3 times 3/4.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe I'm not really understanding fractions when I do this, but I know that if I multiply the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom, I'll get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So 2/3 times 3/4. 2 times 3 is 6 on the top. 3 times 4 is 12 on the bottom. So it's 6/12, so it's a half. So 2/3 of 3/4 or 3/4 of 2/3 is a half.
Okay.
If I want to divide 1/2 divided by 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that if I multiply, I know that that's the same as multiplying 1/2 times 4/3.
Yes.
I just know that.
Yes.
So that means that it's 4/6, which is 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
So 1/2 divided by 3/4 is 2/3. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm trying to understand that because someone has just told me that some kids are trying to solve a problem and they can't really do it right because they don't really understand fractions. And they give me this example. 1/2 divided by 3/4 equals 2/3. It's hard to keep that in your head, huh?
Yeah.
So then I'm trying to find out what that means to say 1/2 divided by 3/4. So it's hard for me to even work it in my head. But I'm trying to see, what does it mean? And the person says something about it being reciprocal. Multiplication and division being reciprocal.
Yeah.
But I can't picture what 1/2 divided by 3/4 is. So I'm trying to understand the way that person looks at it.
Well, the way I was taught to look at it is the way that person might be looking at it.
Okay. Which is?
Which is one fraction divided by another fraction is you multiply the top of the left side of the equation by the bottom of the right side of the equation.
Yeah, it's not really an equation, but you're just saying I multiply.
I
have 1/2, 3/4. I multiply 4 times the 1 and 3 times the 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know why that you do that.
Okay.
Because that's going to turn the second number into 1. I'm multiplying the second number by the number on the bottom.
I see. Okay, to turn it into 1.
To turn it into 1. I divide it by the number on the top to turn that into 1. That turns it into 1. So I'm multiplying both fractions by 4 and I'm dividing both fractions by 3. It gets rid of the 1 on the right.
Okay, I can't do that. I can't see that in my head.
Can't see that in your head.
Yeah, I could write it down. I got paper here.
Okay.
So I have 1/2
divided by 3/4.
divided by 3/4.
Okay. So I know if I multiply both of those numbers by the same thing,
Uh-huh.
that the relationship will still be the same. Like 12 divided by 6, if I multiply both of those numbers by 2, I'm still going to get the same answer.
Yes.
So if I have 1/2 divided by 3/4, I can multiply both of those by 4, and I'll get the same thing.
Right.
So then that becomes 4/2 divided by 3. Then, if I divide both sides by 3, which is the same as saying 2 times 3 on the bottom of the 4 over 2,
Yeah.
then that'll turn that 3 into a 1 on the right-hand number. And so I end up with an answer of 4/6.
Or 2/3.
Yeah, which is 2/3.
When I write it out, it moves even faster.
So that's why you know to invert and multiply.
Yeah.
Because it turns the number on the right into 1, and then whatever the number on the left is the answer.
Yeah. So that's where the word reciprocal comes in.
But it doesn't really tell me, it doesn't really let me picture what it means 1/2 divided by 3/4.
That's true.
It just gives me a mechanism I can use to
Yeah.
get the answer. So that's when a person told me the kid doesn't know how to solve this complicated algebra problem because they don't know fractions, they mean they don't know this mechanical mechanism. Yeah. But the person wouldn't say it that way. They said, no, I'm going to show you visually. I'm going to do examples. And we never were able to have the time to get all the way through the example. So I don't know. So, but the person might be able to do it showing me with pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can, then I might see another way of seeing it that I haven't seen clearly yet.
Yeah.
And then I might be able to show it to a kid. But initially, the person's explanation to me of why they do it that way is not something that I can visualize. And so if they told the student that, I feel like the student would also not visualize it unless, in fact, they wouldn't because, yeah. But the person might have a really intuitive mathematical understanding of what's going on. But it may not show somebody else how to understand it.
I wonder if when you walked me through the mechanism of what you're doing when you do that inversion,
Right.
I'm saying, okay, it made sense to me, and I didn't have to go all the way through it because when I got to 4/2 over 3, well, yeah, of course that's 2/3. When you multiply both sides by 4,
2. You're saying because 4/2 is 2, and then it's just 2 over 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, then it makes sense to me that yes, that is what you're doing when you invert and multiply.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it. I just learned the mechanism.
Right.
And I'm wondering if the person that you were talking to about this just learned the mechanism and wasn't even aware that, like I wasn't even aware a few minutes ago, but they never thought about it. They just always applied the mechanism, and then that was the way you did it.
No, I think that they had more of a sense of it than that.
Okay.
But I don't think it. My guess was that it wasn't complete. Like it wasn't really a picture that they were going to just automatically be able to show me how that tell me. So I have a mechanism that makes sense to me that I just said.
Yeah.
But I don't have the feeling that that really tells me what 1/2 divided by 3/4 means. It just tells me how to get an answer.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So then when someone says that this person doesn't know how to do this problem because they don't understand fractions, I don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me likely, but not definite, that what they mean is that they don't have a mechanical way of responding to numbers arranged a certain way that always works.
Which is not the same as having an understanding of something.
No, it doesn't seem to me it is. Because then you can't, in each level, you can't do a new problem then. You can't do something you haven't seen before.
Right.
So it just depends on how complicated a thing you're ultimately going to try to do about whether that serves you or not.
Yeah.
But maybe there's some reason to be wanting to understand things, even if you're never going to do anything complicated with the numbers.
Let's see. Okay, so this, I go back to what makes a good teacher as opposed to somebody who gets you through the process that you need to get through, and somebody who's good at that. And that is, it seems to me that the goal of teaching is not to get people to memorize a bunch of mechanisms. The goal of teaching is to get people to understand how to find out answers for themselves.
Yeah.
And that memorizing mechanisms doesn't do that.
So I don't know if this can be answered. Why is that the goal of teaching? Why is it important? Why is it important to understand?
Okay.
Yeah, to know how to get
Again,
the answer yourself.
it seems to me that the reason that it's important is that memorizing mechanisms, memorizing formulas, memorizing approaches, memorizing vocabulary is stuff that will only get you to be able to repeat an experience you've already had successfully, possibly more successfully than the previous experience, but it still only gets you to be able to do something that you've already done. It doesn't get you to figure out how to do something that you haven't done. And increasing understanding gets you closer to figuring out how to do something that you haven't done. And to me, that's a survival skill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it may be
important
an intellectual or emotional survival skill.
But it may be important for reasons beyond being a survival skill. But you're saying it's essential if what you want is to have survival skills.
To me that's an essential part of learning. But I think it is maybe I'm using survival skill too broadly, but to me it's a basic building block that you need in order to accomplish anything else other than repeating things that you have already practiced and know how to do. So it's an enrichment skill too. It's a acquisition of knowledge skill. I mean, it's like you don't have to memorize all the words in the dictionary. All you have to do is know how to find a dictionary and how to use it. You don't have to memorize all of the mechanisms and formulas in mathematics. You have to understand the principles behind the mechanisms and formulas so that if you do want to do some mathematics, you have the tools to do them.